Okay, so it's got some great, tasty Jerry Garcia stuff in here. First thing we have is a double pull-off. This is a real classic Jerry riff where you got you're like kind of in a Dorian kind of mode going here. 17 to 16 to 14, double pull-off on the E string. To that little minor third there. To your root note, 16, so 15 to 16, so. And now we're gonna bend this 17th fret up a half step. Sounds like the 18th. And we're gonna bring it down to that 16th fret. And then we're gonna hit the 17 and 16 again. And then we're gonna have a whole step bend on that up to the 19th fret. So we got. So this one's gonna go a whole step from the 19, sounding like the 19, down the 17 though. Pull off to 15. Double pull off, little chromatic there, 16, 15, 14. Hit the 14 again, so altogether we got. And then we're gonna have. So that's gonna be second string, 15. Hit it again, go to 16, and then 16 on the G string. And then we start this. This is the last eighth note of the previous measure here. So we have 14 on the D, and then 15, 16, 14, 15, 16 on the G, 15 on the B. So we have a little 16, 14 on the G, pull off to the 16 on the D. So let's go back to the top. We got 1. And then we're gonna have so that's 16 on the G, 16 on the D. Kind of hold that 16 and then do double pull off on the chromatic. Back to the 16, and then that measure ends with 14, 16. So this new measure was. Now we're gonna have 14 and then 14 to 13. To 15 on the D. 13 to 13, 12 to 14. So from this lead in, 14 to 16. Okay, so that's a little tricky. Once again, we got 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 12 on the G, 12, 13 on the D, 12 on the B. So we got 1. And then we're going to slide into the 11 and 12 on the G and B. Like 1 and 2. Now here we have we're going to reach this 14 over here in the G. We still have this 12 on the B string. We're going to do a double pull off while we're holding the 12 there. So over on the G string is our double pull off while we're holding that B note down there. So it's a double pull off. It's 14 and 12 to the 13 and 11. And then we have 15 on the D to 11. And then 15, 14, 12 on the D. 14 to 16 up into that 15 on the second string. So through everything again, we got. Okay, so from this we got, and you're trying to get that so tall that you can hear that 12. You're also trying to hear both pull-offs. 15, 11, 15, 14, 12. And we're going to go into that 16 on the G after that, 15 on the B. So now that was a 14, 16 on the G, 17 on the B, half step bend on the 15. And then we have this riff, 16, 14 on the G, and then 16 on the B to 16 on the G, 17 on the B, 16, 18 to 16. We end on the 14 right there on the little E string. And then we have so So that's going to be a 15 to 16 on the B. Quick one. 14, 17, 16, 14. Back to that little half step. And then 16. So that was a 16 on the G, 16 on the D, and then 15 on the B to 16 on the G. And then we're getting into the last phrase. So let's go on back. We got 1. Last phrase is, we have a triplet at the end of this measure. So we have 14, 15, 16 on the D, and then we're going to go down a string to the G, do the same thing, and then we're going to do a double pull off. And then these are triplets, so it's 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... So 16, 16, 16, another one there in the D string. And then we end with 17 on the A to the 14 and 16. Quick half step, 17 to 18. 14th fret, slide down, and we have the... So that's 4s on the G and B into the 6 and 5, same strings. And the first one sounds like a hammer-on. Okay, so one more time through, we got a 1. All right, one of my very favorites of all time, Jerry Garcia. That's a tasty solo. So many of his interesting techniques in that. You've got pre-bent half steps coming in. You've got chromatic riffs everywhere. You've got pull-offs and chromatic riffs. You're doing the half step into like a major third a lot of times. And look at this. This riff just boggles me. So he's able to get a chord going, but do a double pull-off on the higher string of that. That's just amazing stuff. And then I love this one, this... The way he has a lower note to bounce off of, but still goes up chromatic and ends up on a note that's part of the B chord right there. So if you want to take a look at the progression, it's like it starts out, it's like B, and then it gets into a thing where it's like B7. So it'd be like if you did a B minor 7 with 7 on the E, D, and B strings. Let those notes ride chromatic down. So those are 6s. 5s, back to a B chord. So that's that cool little chromatic thing going on there. All right, so that was Hell in a Bucket, second solo, Jerry Garcia. Thanks a lot for watching. See y'all soon.